Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our latest update, where we'll go over everything from marketing, business, people ops to roadmap updates, and we'll wrap up with a quick Q&A. So really appreciate that you joined us here. I'm Kelsey, Shardeum CGO, and let's get this kicked off. So first, we have some of our growth updates. On the client content side, we received 74 video submissions this month, being July, under Shardeum is Borderless program. So thanks to each and every one of you that submitted there. It's a program that's focused on creating videos about Shardeum in different languages. We also had 5,600 individuals participate in quizzes from over 24 countries last month. So really excellent participation, and again, thank you all. On the side of proof of community, we had 5 events in 5 cities across 4 countries, as well as a side event at Malaysia Blockchain Week with 60 participants. So it was great to have a presence in Malaysia during that time as well. Social and community, we've started a new Super Shardian task, so please check this one out. It's focused on threads on X/Twitter, in which the community, writes threads in your own languages. So far we've had over 200 submissions in 38 languages, which is fantastic. In the US and Europe side of things, for our marketing updates, we had an increase in website visitors. We had a presence at ETHCC in Brussels, where we were on a panel with Encode Club that touched on everything from DeFi to real world assets. And it was great to connect with some of our investors, partners, and potential future partners at that event. And we worked with one of our supporters at DFG to co-host a side event there. It was a really, really great event. Hopefully we were able to meet up with some of you all in person, and we will see you all at some other events soon. As far as the metrics go, website traffic was up overall by 62%, which was really great to see. We had slightly fewer meetups as we revamp our overall proof of community strategy, so stay tuned for some updates there. And we had a 3% increase in our Twitter or X followers, as well as a 14% increase on Discord. So we're really excited to see the traction. And like I said, stay tuned for our revamped proof of community and meetup strategy as we have more in-person events. So coming soon, we will be at CoinFest Asia, ETH Tokyo, WebEx Asia, the STO Summit, and we have our bug bounty and incentivized testnet stage 2 wrap up. So we'll have some exciting metrics to share there. And if you will be at any of those events that I mentioned, please do reach out and join us. And we're always happy to speak in person as well. And now I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Shazad, to continue the updates. Hey, Shazad.
Thank you very much, Kelsey. Appreciate this. As Kelsey mentioned, we will be in the events in Asia. I'm already here in Bali attending CoinFest starting tomorrow. So any of y'all are out here, definitely would like to catch up and over a cup of coffee. So do reach out. Talking about what has been happening in the last month, the focus has been multifold as we get to mainnet. Number one being ensuring that everything that is required from an infrastructure standpoint is up and about and running. So part of that was ensuring that we have enough listing partners with the exchanges available, and we've been hammering out agreements in the last few weeks, and there should be some major announcements coming in the next week or so. So that has been a very, very major focus. Other than that, we have just completed our bug bounty, and we've got some phenomenal results. Chris will be talking about that shortly. I will leave that for him to get into details. Also, one thing which we did very successfully was our incentivized testnet. We had two phases of that, and both the phases were incredibly received by the community. And just to let you know some of the numbers on hand, between the testnet stage one and stage two, we had about 540,000 participants, out of which 480,000 were unique participants. Our total transaction crossed over 5 million, which was phenomenal, and about 11,000 nodes participated in these two testnets. So that has been just phenomenal. Again, thanking the community for their participation, their support, and the eagerness to see Shardeum being successful. Um, some of the other things which we are focusing on is ensuring that we assimilate as much of centralized exchanges within us as we get to mainnet. So our target is to have at least about 10 to 12 exchanges on day one, and that's what we're focusing on. So that work has been ongoing, and there'll be a few other major announcements from a partnership perspective, which we'll be doing in the next few weeks. So please look forward to that. With that, I hand over to Jeremy, who's our VP of People. Jeremy, on to you.
Thanks, Shazad. Real quick update on people ops. So continue to increase the talent bar here at Shardeum, and we added 3 new team members across the growth and technology teams. Continuing to look at candidates for the solutions engineer and listing manager roles that we mentioned last month. We love getting referrals from the community. Please continue to send them to people@shardeum.org, the email address I have below. And yeah, we have a bunch of partners in our ecosystem that are constantly hiring. So you can also check out their roles on our job board as well. With that, over to Chris.
Thank you, Jeremy. It has been interesting in the world of developer relations. I'm Chris Chabot. I head up developer relations as VP, and it has been busy. Everyone's obviously been focused on our incentivized testnet, which has been wonderful. The engagement there has been absolutely fantastic. One of the things that we've worked on is making sure that we also had GitHub-related tasks that people could go through while they were going through the quest for testnet stage 2. One of the things that was involved in there was starting our GitHub repository, which 13,000 people have done. Now, being started on GitHub is kind of a big deal because it's like SEO on Google. It defines how well you show up in searches when people look for development and blockchain stuff on GitHub. And this puts us very close to the top. We've been the most popular project with the fastest growing stars for a number of days during ITN. So that was very exciting to see. One of the projects we also worked on is creating a new analytics suite. Obviously, once we've launched Mainnet, we want to be able to track how many transactions there are, traffic, new accounts being created, but also valuation of the token and everything else that is involved in the tokenomics. So we have started on building an expensive analytics suite where we are analyzing every event that happens on the network, showing those in lovely, beautifully built dashboards, and also connecting those up to alerting systems that if there's any activity that happens or there's massive swings that are unexpected, then people know that we should respond to that. So that gives us a lot of new, powerful tools to make sure that it will be the best network that it could possibly be. Obviously, the team has been fantastically engaged with the community as well with our build and public streams. We've had over 120 attendees building code with us. We have finished our open source tutorial videos on YouTube. And our Discord channel has reached 20,000 members, which I touched on that last update as well. But it's amazing to see that when we started that, we had like 10 or 20 members there with us. And the enthusiasm to engage and participate has been absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you for that. Like, the community is absolutely amazing. Some of the things we're working on and launching soon is Shardeum University 2.0. And that's going to be exciting. Like, if you've done Shardeum University, the original version, this is going to be like that, but much better. And some of that will include clever ways of also doing coding exercises, scoring on those, and getting a certificate that shows that you know your stuff. Obviously, JSON RPC is a major part of the network as well, because that is how MetaMask and everything else in this world, including exchanges like we talked on previously, the JSON RPC interface is how they connect to the Shardeum network. And we have revamped the documentation with all the details, showing everything that we support, some of the tiny little details of the Ethereum API that we don't support, but there's extensive information now for everything that you need to be able to integrate with us. We are launching a new network monitoring status page that connects to that paging and alerting infrastructure that I mentioned before. We are working with our mainnet launch partners to make sure that all the partnerships are also technically enabled and connected to the network and ready to go when the mainnet goes out there. And we have been working on some SDKs that the large exchanges use to connect networks to their own exchange. So we've gone for a whole bunch of test stages there, and everything's looking absolutely splendid and marvelous and ready for launch. So that's going to be exciting. So over to you, Omar.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. So yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things happening on the tech side. If you've been participating and joining our incentivized testnet, you know that we're now have stage 2 out. It did take us a little bit longer than expected to get that going, and we did have some hiccups shortly after that was launched, but I think we've gotten past all of that, and we've actually now completed the Ethereum Stage 2, and we're getting ready to get started with Stage 3. For those that might not know, Stage 1 was a network where all of the nodes were run by the team. Now Stage 2 allowed community-run nodes to join the network, and it's also a network where the nodes are rotating. And so we're definitely making good progress there. And Stage 3 will continue that and include some additional features. We've also completed our bug bounty, and that's gone really well, and we've had a lot of learnings from that and a lot of good improvements coming into the network from that. We do plan to have another bug bounty in the future. So, if you didn't, get to participate in the last one, you'll still have an opportunity in the future. And so, we do have, code prepared for our version 1.12.2, and that should be going out soon. And we still could use the community helping us with testing that and so forth. So yeah, looking forward to the next stage of the Ethereum network going live. So with that, we'll turn it over to Mark and Andrew.
Thanks, Omar.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Like the prior people have said, the updates are getting pretty good. Our incentivized test nets have been really, really successful. And for the roadmap, and you can go ahead and move the slide to the next page. Thank you. So things that we've completed, we've finished up the fast aggregated corresponding tell, proof of quorum, optimistic, additional cycle hardening, tons and tons of fixes. We've been working on the bug bounty security fixes. That's going to continue to be ongoing. Strengthening our ancillary services and network generated transactions. A few notes that I had were that, as you can see from the roadmap to mainnet, we're starting to run out of categories, which is great because it means we're almost there. And we're kind of getting to the later part of the ITN to mainnet phase of the project. And then once we're live, we'll be in a whole new phase. But at this point, we're mostly identifying security and, long-running stability issues and fixes that are, increasingly tricky to find because the community support has been so great in having us knock out so many bugs. But we're still working hard to get every fix that we can get in. We've got development pipelines established for dealing with the bug bounty results and getting those security issues triaged, fixed, and deployed to the network. And we're beginning to work on the kind of our planning for post-launch, if we want to call it the live roadmap, the mainnet roadmap. One other point, I don't remember if somebody else mentioned it yet. If you did, I apologize, but phase 2 is 4 million plus transactions and 27 TPS peak. So sorry if that was redundant, but I just left a note for myself. I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'll just kind of echo again that the ITN Phase 2 is a really excellent test. It helped us validate a lot of systems, and it also helped us figure out several issues that did not show up in the lab, basically. And by lab, sometimes that's also us running hundreds or thousands of nodes in the cloud, but it's different when you're running with like a diverse set of network conditions. And so we found some tricky memory issues along with some low-level networking issues where we realized we could clean up sockets better. And also it helped expose some node syncing issues. But, we learned that from ITN Phase 2 and got fixes prepared in the 1.12.2 update, which is out now. So even though the ITN Phase 2 quests have ended, that network's still up and around. And so if you refresh if you update your node software, it'll get the 1.12.2 update. And anyone that happens to still want to run a node, that will be super, super helpful for us to continue to validate those changes. And we're just excited now about building towards the next step, getting things locked down and starting the sort of next stages of getting ready for the next ITN phases and bug bounty phases. So yeah, thanks again just to the community for all the help testing and also the participation in the bug bounty. And with that, I will hand it back to Kelsey. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all so much. We will start going through some of the questions we've received now, so appreciate you all dropping those in the comments. The first one I can answer for us, and the question is, when can we check Phase 1 rewards? The answer there will be a few days before mainnet. So looking forward to that. The next one for Omar, Mark, or Andrew is, when is Stage 3 of ITN?
I don't think we have the exact date on that yet, but it should be September.
Yeah,
and
soon, but I don't know that we've made that specific date public.
Likely the first half of September is I think where we're going to be.
Sounds great. Just in time for fall. So the next one is for Chris. I know you touched on this a little bit already, but could you share more of the bug bounty updates, please?
Absolutely. So the bug bounty, we had two different programs with them. One was for what we call the ancillary services, so things like the archiver and RPC server. The other one was for our core server, so basically the validators and the network that makes Shardeum what it is. With both of those, we've had massive amounts of reports. A lot of them were what we call informative or minor issues, but there were also a couple ones in there where we went, oh my goodness, we never considered that was possible. And you have to imagine that as engineers, and you can see Andrew smile about that as well, as engineers, we get wildly enthusiastic because it's inspiring. It is so cool to see the creativity in the community. And that's one of the things that we wanted to get out of the program as well, that when you're working with engineers whose job it is to audit code all day, they know what they're doing. They're obviously experts in their fields. But hackers who are fanatics about breaking things in creative ways that no one else has ever thought about, they approach things from a different perspective. So the biggest win for us was that we had a bunch of people who are extremely talented, hyper obsessed with breaking things in original ways, showing us the few parts that we never would have thought about. And that's amazing because that means that those problems have now been fixed. And that, of course, was the goal, that when mainnet launches, we won't have to worry about those things. But again, some of those exploits were amazing, like overwriting prototypes of JavaScript objects. And there was some really cool stuff in there. It was impressive. So TLDR, we are wrapping up the ITN bug bounties now. The security team is going through the final issues just to validate, look at the proof of concepts that the hackers have delivered so we can validate their work. Once that is done, we give the go-ahead to Immunify that we're ready to pay out all the rewards, and that is going to happen over the next week or two, I think, and that's where we pay off all the hackers. We are looking at a third phase as well, just as we are for the ITN, and those are the final preparations, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and making sure that there's no loose bolts or anything else that could rattle loose when we're ready for launch. So the awesome thing with ITN2, I think, is that we saw transaction volumes that come very close to what Ethereum is doing every day. Like I've seen peak days come by with 700K transactions in a day. And it reminds me a little bit of that movie where a famous driver is running a Ford car in a very famous race in America. And he blows that engine to bits and he says, we're almost there. We're almost ready to win. And they replace the engine, fix the last couple issues they have, and obviously they win the race. And I kind of feel we're at that point now. There are one or two places where a little bit of smoke escaped the brake calipers. We're fixing those now, and then we're so good to go.
That's great. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, it's been wonderful seeing the results of the bug bounty program and the creative approaches there. Next, we have one for Omar Andrew. And I think what we're getting at here is for the newbies, if people haven't participated yet in any of the ITN phases, is there still an opportunity, or do we feel like is it too late for them to jump in?
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be ITN phase 3, and I think again we'll have an array of different tasks that we want people to do. Some people may not be able to do some of them just because they may not have the technical know-how, but there will also be like easier things as well. So, regardless of your level of expertise in the crypto space, you should be able to participate if you try. So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, all are still welcome to jump in. So that's great for the community. Next, we have another question for Omar, Andrew, or Mark. What caused validators to drop below 640 when there was a sudden surge in transactions? Do we have some clarity here as well?
Sure. Yeah, I can.
Someone tripped over the power cord and shut it down.
Yeah, that was. What happened there is there were kind of a few factors, and then we did work to fix those in our 1.12.2 update. But the couple things that compounded was one, there was a tricky memory leak. So some amount of validators would get to a max memory threshold, and then the process would panic, and then it would exit the network. But we found and fixed that, and actually, like all last week, we were running our diagnostic nodes connected to the network to prove out the new software version. So those were sneakily in there with the rest of the validators and showing that the memory fixes worked. Then the other issue was there was a problem that made it for a while that nodes would have trouble going active after they started syncing. So they would be syncing cycle data and hundreds of thousands of accounts that they needed to store. And we got to a point where maybe like, not all of them could go active. So in our rotation, we have to kind of let nodes come in, and we know they'll sync for a while. So we let enough in so that we keep this like nice rate of node rotation. And basically that slowed down. So these two things worked together to have our node count go below 640. Normally our network would be always at least our minimum nodes. Although if it ever goes a little bit below, like if just like 3 random people pull the plug, yeah, it'll go a little bit below, but that's no problem whatsoever in the network. But if there's a network bug and you see it go more below, then you can get into safety mode, which we did for a moment. And then, but once it was in safety mode, transactions stopped for a moment, nodes synced back in, and then it got back up to its safe node count again, and it turned transactions back on. That process was all automatic as like a safety feature. But yeah, that was why it's so great to run these tests, and those issues are fixed in our 1.12.2 update. So,
which you can install
Thank
now
you so much.
if you want to help us test it. Even though ITN Phase 2 is over, you can still join the network, test the new software.
Yep.
Amazing. There's still time.
There's still time.
That's awesome.
There's
Thank
always
you for
time.
providing more clarity. Yeah, definitely. Our next one is for Shazad. The question is, how is the Shardeum ecosystem evolving, and what new projects have been launched?
So Kelsey, right now, what we're trying to do is we assimilated about 150 plus projects who at some point in time tested, deployed, and worked with us to ensure that when the EVM version was running, they were working at it. The current version we have up and about does not have the EVM enabled. So the minute we get back to that stage, we will be starting to deploy projects again and ensuring that everybody is back where we needed them to be. With that, I will also answer another question which just came up. Is one of the major milestones what we're looking at achieving in the next quarter is ensuring that mainnet is launched, and with that, that is something extremely critical for all of us to have Shardeum launch and be extremely successful. So that is on all our radars to ensure that we do that correctly. And with that, we will also shortly beyond that have the EVM version up and about, so we can ensure that we start with probably between 100 to 200 projects on day one. So that's what our goal is.
Great. Thank you, Shazad. The next question I'll take, and it's, how is Shardeum ensuring transparency and communication with its community? These updates are a huge part of that. We also are consistently on Twitter, Discord, publishing blog posts, videos, connecting with the press, investors, partners. So if there's a certain format that you all feel like you would want to see more of, whether it's written content or video, do please feel free to reach out, because we do want to provide the best kinds of updates and clarity possible on the channels that will actually reach you. So we're always hoping to be as transparent and communicative as we possibly can. So thank you for that question. I think the next one, we covered some of the milestones, and for the newbie question, there's a follow-up, and the question is it necessary to have a transaction history in the Ethereum wallet, or are just Shardeum, ITN transaction, and Galaxy Quest enough, I guess, as a barrier to participation? Do you guys have any thoughts around that? Or I feel like people are able to participate, but go ahead if you guys have some more thoughts on that, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You don't need any history on Ethereum. You can go to MetaMask and start a fresh account and hop right on to our Shardeum ITN networks.
Like, I think one of the things that's useful to mention is that we are Ethereum compatible. That doesn't mean that we're Ethereum. or that you need Ethereum. It just means that when you're using a tool like MetaMask, it can talk to Shardeum using the same protocols or connections as it would use talking to Ethereum. So maybe that's where the confusion came from, but yeah, there's no dependency.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and really,
and then
sorry to say, like, and it can be
Okay.
other wallets too. So, yep. Thanks.
That's good. Makes it easier for more different people with different transaction histories or lack thereof to participate, which is great. Speaking of participating, we just have a comment about playing the Wordle game on the testnet page was quite fun, and hoping that we get more games in the upcoming stages. So thank you for that feedback. I love that you all enjoyed the Wordle game, and we will look at more games. And I do believe that that wraps up all of our questions for today. So we can go on to the next part, which is the POAP registration form. So thank you guys all for participating and answering the questions. So for the POAP registration form, just remember that claiming the POAP will take a little bit of time, and that you can whitelist your address by filling out the form. So you can go ahead and scan here. And really appreciate everyone who joined today and who has been participating across the board. We've been gaining a lot of momentum here. We have a fantastic team that's been working day and night to make this happen with the community. So thank you all, and I'll see you all at the next update.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.